Okay, so let's have the next lessons on statistics and probability. So the PowerPoint is brought to you by Mr. Roman L. Pasardosa. So on this video, you're going to construct frequency distribution table of the group data. So the first two video is about ungroup data. And for this set, we will be focusing more on group data. So tuwing kailan ba tayo nag-group data? So if the data exceeds 30, then that's the time na magsisimula na tayong mag-group data. Kasi di ba napakahirap kunin ang median ng 40 datas. Mahaba-habang listahan yan. So, once na si data ay nag-exceed sa 30, that's the time na mag-group data na tayo. So, from 30 numbers of data and above, group data. Kapag nag-fall siya ng 30, automatic group data. So, first of all, the steps. The first step is to sort the data in ascending order. Ayusin mo. Bakit mo kailangang ayusin? Para makita natin yung lowest and then highest score. At para hindi tayo malito dun sa data na meron tayo, mabilang din natin agad kung ilan sila. Number 2, we calculate the range of the data. Number 3, we decide on the number of intervals in the frequency distribution. So, ngayon yung frequency distribution table na gagawin natin ay meron ng interval. Pag sinabi natin interval, doon mo ma-identify kung ano ba siya. For example, 51 to 60, 61 to 70, 71 to 80, and so on. That's what we call intervals. Number 4, we determine the intervals. And number 5, we tally and count the observation under each intervals. Tsaka tayo magtatali. So, how to get the number of interval? So, first is to calculate the range of the data. So, the difference between the highest point and the lowest data points. So, in determining the class, the number of classes, you should determine the number of classes from the sample size. So, ang susunod nating rules is that we need 5 to 7 classes. Ibig sabihin, yung pagkakahati ng class. So, from ascending to descending, yung number ng class, ito yun. Diba? Yung 51 to 60, 61 to 70, 71 to 80. So, itong set na to, ang tawag dyan isang class. Second class, third class, fourth class. Yung difference between the two number is the interval. Okay? So, class interval is equal to range divided by the number of classes na kailangan. Now, in statisticians ignore extremely high and low figures and focus on the mid-range frequencies. So, for the group data, let's start solving for the mean of the group data. So, the mean of the group data uses the same formula. But as you can see, we have the two different symbol. Pero kapag nakita natin two different symbol na to ng mean, ang ibig sabihin lang yan, kapag itong U, ang kinukuha mong mean is the population. Pero kapag yung X bar, ang mean na yon ay para sa sample. Pero the process is the same. So, kagaya nung ginawa natin sa video ng variance, ganun lang din kunin ang mean ng group data. Na kung saan F times X summation divided by total number of the sample or population. For the median of group data, we have the formula that, yan, pag nakita natin itong X na may uod sa ibabaw, that is for median. So the formula is lower boundary of the median class plus n over 2 minus cumulative frequency all over f, or the frequency, times I, or the interval. wherein LBMD stands for lower boundary of the median class na ma-identify natin by the use of N over 2, cumulative frequency below the median class, frequency of the median class, less than CF pala ang ginagamit na, less than cumulative frequency. I is for class size, and N is the number of population or the sample. So, steps in getting the median of the group data. First is to compute the cumulative frequency of the frequency distribution table. Number 2 is to determine the median class of the given data using N over 2. Number 3 is to get the value of the lower boundary of the median class and the cumulative frequency lower than the median class, the frequency of the median class and the class width or class size, and the last is to apply the given data into the formula. For the mode of the group data, we have the formula. Ito. Yung X na may bubong is for mode is equal to lower boundary of the modal class plus D1 over D1 plus D2 times I, where LBMO stands for lower boundary of the modal class. D1 is the frequency of the modal class minus the frequency before the modal class, and D2 is the frequency of the modal class minus the frequency after the modal class, and I is for the class size. Now, the steps of getting the mode of the group data. First is we determine the modal class. So, this is the class with the highest frequency. Number 2 is to solve for the value of D1 and D2 and then apply the given data into the formula. So, upon getting the measures of variability in a group data, you just simply follow the steps on the previous as shown on the previous video. Okay, so let us start kung paano tayo magko-compute ng central tendency of a group data. So first, nakita natin, we have the class, the frequency, we have to get the midpoint of every class, the higher boundary, the lower boundary, the less than CF, the greater than CF, the f of x, f times x, the x minus mean, and x minus mean squared. So first of all, let's find what the interval. So pag sinabi natin interval, ito yung kung ilan yung nasa pagitan ng every class. So madali nating makukuha yon. We can simply count 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So meron tayong interval na 10. Or pwede natin i-subtract 30 minus 20, 40 minus 30. Makukuha natin si interval. Next, we have the range. So, kukuha natin sa range para sa measures of variability. So, the range is the highest minus the lowest. So, we have 89. Now, nilagyan na rin natin siya ng total para alam natin kung ilan ang total ng ating kung ilan yung sample or population size na meron tayo. So, marami tayong kinukuhanan ng total. Pero hindi natin kinuhanan ng total si greater than CF, si less than CF, si lower boundary, si higher boundary, at si midpoint. So, for the midpoint, ginagawa lang natin is simply add the lower class plus the higher class divided by 2. Pag nakuha natin yung una, pwedeng gawin natin yung midpoint plus the interval makukuha na natin yung midpoint per class. So, ito. So, hindi nakuha ng drag plus 10. Ulitin na lang natin. Hindi pa rin nakuha. Plus 10 na fix F5. F4. Yan. Plus 10. Yan, hanggang 95. So, meron na tayong midpoint ng every class. Now, we get the higher boundary. So, the higher boundary is the higher among your selected class plus the higher plus the lower class of the next class divided by 2. So, meron kang 20.5 or simply, you add 0.5 kapag ang given natin is a whole number. Pero kung sakaling magkaroon ng decimal, ang gagawin natin is yung process na you add the higher class plus the lower class of the next divided by 2. Okay, so matapos natin yan. Or pwede rin naman 70 plus the interval plus the interval. So, you have 100.5. So, bakit natin kinukuha si higher boundary? So, para malaman natin na kung sakasakaling mag-fall ang sagot natin into a decimal point, at least alam natin na hanggang 20.5, pasok siya dito sa class ng 11 to 20. Pero kapag naging 20.51 na siya, magiging pasok na siya dito sa 21 to 30. So, yan yung natin ang mga boundary na yan. So, for the lower boundary naman, so yung lowest class minus 0.5 lang siya. So, you have 10.5, 20.5, 30.5, hanggang sa makababa tayo. 40.5, 50.5, 60.5, 70.5. So, ngayon, paano kapag nag-fall si data ng 0.5? So, makikita natin, meron siyang higher boundary and then meron tayong lower boundary na almost the same. Diba? So, papasok natin siya doon sa may lower boundary para pumasok na siya doon sa next class. So, kung sumakto ng 30.5, masasabi natin, pasok na siya ng 31 to 40. Okay? So, meron tayong higher boundary. Meron na rin tayong lower boundary. Next, we get the less than CF. So, para sa less than CF, kailangan natin magsimula sa lowest class. At pagdating natin sa lowest class, magsisimula tayo sa frequency niya. So, this is equal to the frequency. So, para sa susunod na frequency, we have the previous frequency plus yung current frequency. Previous na less than CF plus yung current equals yung previous plus yung current. So, try natin kung abot siya sa pinakababa. Yan. Na dapat pagka less than CF, ang nasa pinakababa is makuha natin yung total ng frequency na 119. Ngayon, pagdating naman sa greater than CF, so meron na tayo less than CF. Dito natin siya. Para sa greater than CF, kabaliktaran naman. May simula naman tayo sa 119. So, 119 minus the previous frequency equals yung current minus susunod equals current minus 4. Yan. So, try natin siya i-drag down. Na dapat, ang nasa pinakababa niya is magkaparehas yung frequency nung nasa baba. So, ito naman ngayon ang ating greater than CF. Now, for F times X, kailangan lang natin si F times na midpoint hanggang sa baba. Ngayon, pwede natin kunin si mean. So, for the mean, we have the total of f of x divided by 119. So, we have 64.7437 na kung saan i-rate ko siya dito. So, meron tayo ngayong mean na 64.7437 para isusubtract natin siya dito sa x minus mean. Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, kapag in-extend ko to, yung ating mean ay madaming decimal. Pero dahil sa requirement ko is up to 4 decimal places lang, ayan, kailangan kong maglagay ng constant. So, we have this one, x minus mean. So, the midpoint minus the mean hanggang sa makababa. And then, yung susunod na linya is i-squared naman natin siya. Equals tapos yung sa x minus mean squared, ito i-square lang naman natin siya. Raised to 2. Hanggang makababa tayo. So, from this point, makakuha na natin si variance and standard deviation, pero hindi na siya ipapakita dito sa video kasi nakuha na natin siya. Now, nakuha na natin yung mean ng group data. Ito na yon. That is 64.7437. Now, para pagdating naman sa median, di ba ang unang step is n over 2. So, kunin natin is si n, total number, divided by 2. So, meron tayong 59.5. So, ito yung n over 2. So, 59.5, titignan natin ngayon siya sa lower boundary. Kung saan, hindi pala sa lower boundary. Sorry, sa less than CF. Kasi yung less than CF yung nasa formula. 59.5, tignan mo sa less than CF, alin yung pinakamalapit sa 59.5. Tandaan, kapag tumitingin tayo ng lower, ng n over 2, better na sobra siya kaysa kulang. Kahit ang nasa less than CF is 59, hindi natin pwedeng gamitin si 59 kasi kulang pa rin siya ng 0.5. So, kung ang susunod sa 59, halimbawa is 60, 63, so ang gagamitin natin is si 63. So, di bali ng sobra, wag lang kukulangin sa n over 2 para makita natin kung ano talaga yung mid parang yung parang pinaka midpoint niya. So, makukuha dito natin makukuha yung iba't ibang kailangan natin. Yun. So, yung lower boundary ng median class natin, makikita natin, that is 60.5. So, lagyan natin ito, LP is 60.5. Yung frequency of the median class is 13. Yung number of population is 19. Yung interval is 10. So, pwede mo na ngayong gamitin yung formula at meron ka ng median. Next. So, ito ay para sa median. Pagdating natin sa mode, titignan mo lang alin dito yung may pinakamaraming frequency. So, kung alin yung may pinakamaraming frequency, yun agad ang ating modal class. So, gawin naman natin siyang red. So, sa mode, meron lang tayong lower boundary of the modal class, which is 80.5. Tapos, meron tayong D1 at saka D2. So, si D1 is the number, the frequency of the modal class minus the frequency before the modal class. So, kung before si D1, so, ang modal class natin is 20 minus, nasa taas, 19. Para sa D2, we have modal class minus frequency ng nasa after. So, meron tayong D1, D2. We have the interval, which is 10. So, ayan, magagamit na rin natin ngayon yung nasa formula. Now, that's how you get the measures of central tendency and measures of variability of a group data. Ngayon, if ever na magkabaliktad ang ating frequency distribution table, ito, yan, paano magkabaliktad? Mauna si 91 to 100, 81 to 90, 71 to 80. So, babaliktaran lang din natin yung process nito para sa pagkuha ng modal class na kung saan mauuna pa rin is before bago si after. So, kung 81 to 90 ang modal class natin, kung ito yon, bawal lang. So, ganun pa rin. Pag before, si 71 to 80 pa rin yon. Kapag after, si 91 to 100. So, I hope na-gets natin yung buong video. You can start practicing it on the activity. So, that's all for this video.